Malaysia-Singapore terminate HSR project. Nationwide RMCO extended until 31st March. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cynthia Arthur. You're watching News at 10. The Kuala Lumpur-Singapore High-Speed Rail HSR project has been voided on the 31st December 2020. According to a joint statement by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and his Singaporean counterpart Lee Hsien Loong, both countries will now proceed with the necessary actions following the termination of this agreement. Previously, the Malaysian government had proposed several changes to the HSR project due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. However, after discussions were conducted to address these changes, both countries could not come to a mutual consensus. Thus, the agreement had to be terminated. Regardless, both countries remain committed to maintaining good bilateral relations and cooperations in the future. In December 2016, both countries signed an agreement to carry out the HSR project. In September 2018, both governments agreed to suspend construction of the project until 31st of May this year to find the best way forward, before once again extending it to 31st December last year. The Malaysian government had been reviewing the project with MyHSR Corp to identify cost reduction options, such as station locations and business models. The HSR was targeted to be up and running by 2026 and was expected to cut travel time between Kuala Lumpur and Singapore to just 90 minutes. The HSR line would have been 350 kilometers long, 335 kilometers within the country and 15 kilometers in Singapore. On a related matter, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department Economy, Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamed, said Malaysia will honour its obligations under the lapsed Kuala Lumpur-Singapore High-Speed Rail HSR bilateral agreement. In a statement, the Minister said both countries would initiate the necessary action in determining the amount of compensation for the project. Datuk Seri Mustafa said the government had undertaken a detailed study to explore all possible options since 2018 to reduce the construction cost. He added that the government had also proposed several changes to the HSR project, including its structure, alignment and station design due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Malaysian economy, with a number of discussions on their respective positions have been conducted. However, both governments were unable to come to an agreement on those changes. Hence, the bilateral agreement had therefore lapsed as scheduled. Moving forward, he said, the government will consider other alternatives to the project, including the viability of a domestic HSR project and its benefits to Malaysians. The minister said Malaysia and Singapore enjoy very close bilateral ties and will continue to strengthen these ties, including further enhancing connectivity between the two countries for mutual benefit. Meanwhile, University Technology Malaysia geostrategy expert Dr. Azmi Hassan said the cancellation of the Kuala Lumpur-Singapore High-Speed Rail HSR project will not affect the bilateral relations that has been established between the two countries for decades. According to him, there are other matters of concern for both nations other than HSR.
Mengenai dengan hubungan dua hala di antara Malaysia dan Singapura, saya kira ada lagi masalah yang lebih rumit yang kita hadapi antara jiran kita ini, tetapi ianya tidak mengeruhkan hubungan. Jadi ada baiknya bahawa jikalau Singapura tak bersetuju dengan cadangan terakhir Malaysia mengenai HSR ini, sebaiknya dibatalkan kerana ianya tidak menjadi duri dalam daging umpamanya. Kenapa saya berkata bahawa ada lagi masalah rumit adalah umpamanya masalah bekalan air 3 sen per 1000 galen yang Singapura bayar kepada Malaysia. Itu lagi kritikal masalahnya, tetapi ianya tidak mengeruhkan hubungan.
Dr. Azmi added that the government can reconsider to resume the HSR project, which covers only the areas between Kuala Lumpur and Johor Bahru. The decision to terminate the high-speed rail project is considered as the best move after both countries have made their assessments on various related aspects. According to an analyst, the cancellation reflects the government's commitment to prioritize the important needs, especially those involving the well-being of the people. Economic analyst at UniKL Business School, Associate Professor Dr. Aimi Zulhaizmi Abdul Rashid, said the allocation for the project can be used to further strengthen the country's economy while facing the challenges brought by COVID-19.
Terutamanya ketika ini di mana sumber keuangan perlu difokuskan kepada kesejahteraan rakyat dan kestabilan perniagaan, kesan dari pandemik COVID-19 yang telah menyebabkan kemelesetan ekonomi semenjak suku kedua tahun 2020 lagi. Malah tidak berlaku kehilangan peluang pekerjaan yang mungkin tercipta dari projek ini kerana ianya belum bermula lagi pun.
Meanwhile, another economic analyst, Professor Dr. Borjaya Bardai, is also of the view that the existing allocation can productively be used to address the issue of relative poverty in the country.
Dalam jangka pendek, projek ini tidak dilihat sebagai cukup berdaya maju, khususnya pada masa ini kita sedang menangani keadaan recession dan pandemik COVID-19, dan dijangkakan jumlah penjimatan lebih 40 bilion ini boleh digunakan untuk aktiviti yang lebih produktif.
Professor Dr. Barjayai also suggested for the savings to be used to continue the infrastructure development which can benefit the people. The termination of the HSR project is expected to provide more opportunities for the government to focus on other important requirements amid the pandemic. Several residents living in Iskandar Puteri, Johor, expressed their views on the matter, with some of them believe that the cancellation may bring about positive outcomes for the country.
Saya setuju dibatalkan sebab keuangannya boleh pergi ke sekarang kita punya ekonomi pun tengah tak baik, mana kita boleh pergi ke bahagian perubatan. Sekarang pandemik COVID-19 sedang melanda negara kan. Jadi mungkin kita boleh gunakan keuangan tu untuk pergi ke perubatan.
Memang wajar sebab lagi satu boleh meningkatkan lagi faktor pekerjaan daripada orang-orang yang dibuang kerja. Ya, boleh membantulah. Kira-kira macam orang yang dalam ekonomi sekarang tengah terdesak, so boleh membantu dalam ekonomi.
Kalau saya terimalah pasal duitnya boleh pergi ke tempat yang lebih baik, terutama usahawan-usahawan yang banyak terjejaskan, seperti butik ke, food truck ke, yang peniaga kecil ke, banyaklah boleh bantu rakyat sempena COVID.
Iskandar Puteri, Johor was supposed to be one of the areas to be involved with the construction of the high-speed rail HSR project, which originally aimed to connect Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. The COVID-19 recovery rate in Malaysia now stands at 79.2% after another 2,230 patients fully recovered and discharged from hospitals as at noon today. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the number of active cases also decreased to 23,433 despite the 2,068 new cases reported. In a statement, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said Selangor registered the highest number of infections with 776 cases, with the majority of them contributed by the existing clusters as well as close contact screenings conducted by the Health Ministry. He said there are currently 126 patients being treated in the ICU, out of which 54 requiring ventilator support. The Health Director General also disclosed 3 new COVID-19 related fatalities, which pushed the country's death toll to 474. He added that the ministry has identified 3 new clusters involving Pulau Pinang, Johor, Pahang and Selangor. As such, the total number of clusters recorded so far is 514, with 224 of them being active. Recovery Movement Control Order RMCO across Malaysia will be extended to 31st of March. However, this does not involve Selangor, Kuala Lumpur and Sabah, as well as other localities that were under the Conditional Movement Control Order CMCO or Enhanced Movement Control Order EMCO. In a media statement today, Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the decision was reached after risk assessment conducted by the Health Ministry found that the rate of COVID-19 infectivity is still high. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said that the order had been gazetted in the Federal Government Gazette. He added that the increase in the number of new cases in the country has been contributed by the implementation of compulsory screening on foreign workers carried out on a large scale, as well as the spread of infection within the community, especially in the Klang Valley and several states. The government-enforced RMCO was previously scheduled to end on 31st December 2020. According to the Senior Minister, all standard operating procedures SOP under the RMCO will apply during the period and are subject to changes that will be announced from time to time. In another development, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the police had arrested 347 individuals yesterday for violating the RMCO, with 337 of them issued with compounds and 10 remanded. Under Ops Benteng, 31 illegal immigrants are arrested and 5 vehicles were seized, while 110 roadblocks were imposed yesterday. Helicopter crash lands in Klang, injuring 2 on New Year's Day. The government will be putting in more effort to speed up the provision of facilities for internet access throughout the country this year, especially in the rural areas. Communications and Multimedia Minister KKMM Dato' Saifuddin Abdullah said the ministry will focus on providing the infrastructure for internet access despite the various initiatives under the National Digital Infrastructure Plan Jendela, which will be implemented as scheduled. Explaining further, he said the target is to ensure that internet will be made available to about 4% of areas in the East Coast and several other locations in the peninsula, apart from the interior of Sabah and Sarawak, which are still without this communication facility.
Cuma apa yang kita kena sediakan itu biarlah praktikal. Misalnya untuk rumah panjang, ya, 2G itu sudah cukup bagus. 3G sangat baik, ya. Untuk masa ini, sebab sekarang dia tak ada G pun. Jadi itu yang saya kata tadi. Tumpuan kita itu kalau di Sarawak itu di rumah panjang. Yang itu kalau kita nak guna gentian optik belum sampai. Kalau kita nak guna jalur lebar juga tak begitu menjamin. Jadi kat situ dah tentu satelit.
Speaking as a guest on the Selamat Pagi Malaysia program, he said the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission has been informed of the matter and further actions will be taken to speed up the proposals and provide the suitable type of satellite for the related areas. The government has extended the loan repayment period of the National Higher Education Fund Corporation PTPTN for another 3 months to eligible borrowers. Higher Education Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Noraini Ahmad said the decision was made after taking into account the current situation of some of the borrowers who have been badly affected by the pandemic. In a release statement, she said affected borrowers who wish to apply for the deferment can submit their applications through the PTPTN official portal from 5th of January to 31st of March this year. She further explains that the loan repayment postponement period will start from the month the extension application is approved. Datuk Seri Dr. Noraini also expressed hope that this announcement can help ease the burden of the borrowers, especially amid the pandemic. Previously, the government has postponed the repayment of PTPTN loans from 19th of March to 31st December to all borrowers following the COVID-19 outbreak. 2 men suffered light injuries after their Robinson R66 turbine private helicopter crashed this morning in a vacant plot of land in the Port Klang Free Trade Zone in Selangor. The incident occurred when the 2-seater helicopter was attempting an emergency landing at the available open space. According to Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Director Nur Azam Khamis, a total of 7 personnel in a fire engine were sent to the scene after receiving an emergency call at about 10 a.m. Upon arriving at the scene, they found that both victims, comprised of the pilot aged 72 and his assistant aged 52, had been removed from the vehicle by members of the public. They were then treated by medical personnel from West Port before being taken to Tengku Ampuan Rahimah Hospital in Klang for further treatment. Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAAM, which confirmed the incident in a statement, said that further investigations will be conducted by the Air Accident Investigation Bureau under the Transport Ministry. The Kuantan Segamat Road has been temporarily closed to all vehicles starting today due to landslides at 2 locations at kilometre 63 and kilometre 73 in Pekan District. Its Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Razli Mat Yusof said the landslides occurred at around 10 a.m. believed to be caused by continuous heavy rain that lasted for several hours in the area. Superintendent Muhammad Razli, in a statement today, said there were no accidents or injuries reported. For the safety of road users, he said, the road is closed to facilitate repair works. He advised those from Kuantan waiting to go to Segamat to use the alternative route from Pekan Town to Paloh Nihinai, then head to Leban Condong and Muazzam Shah in Rompin during the road closure. Meanwhile, road users from Segamat travelling to Kuantan will be diverted to Leban Condong before entering Pekan via Nenasi Pekan Kuantan Road. Sports, KBS tightens SOP for Phase 5 opening of sports recreational sectors. National discus throw champion Muhammad Irfan Shamsuddin is the second national athlete certified positive COVID-19. The national record holder, who is currently undergoing training in Leipzig, Germany, said that he underwent a swab test on Tuesday and was confirmed positive after getting the test results the next day. The Negeri Sembilan-born revealed that following the test result, he decided to undergo quarantine at home but did not state the quarantine period. National hammer throwing athlete Jackie Wong Siu Cher was previously confirmed positive for COVID-19 but fully recovered after undergoing treatment at Sibu Hospital, Sarawak. Muhammad Irfan is the national record holder with a record of 62.55 meters at the 2017 top meeting Austrian Athletics Championship. He also defended the SEA Games gold medal 4th time in a row since the 2013 edition in Myanmar after scoring 57.29 meters at the 2019 SEA Games in the Philippines. Meanwhile, Malaysian Athletics Federation MAF President Dato' S.M. Mutu said the parent body was ready to provide appropriate assistance to Muhammad Irfan. He said that Muhammad Irfan had permission to undergo training in Germany after getting the green light from the Ministry of Youth and Sports KBS. The Youth and Sports Ministry KBS will implement several additional measures to ensure the compliance of the SOPs for the 5th phase opening of sports and recreational sectors. The ministry, in a statement, announced that sports championship or tournament organisers require prior approval from the ministry through the Sports Commissioner before the event can be held. The organisers have to be responsible and provide written guarantees in addition to creating a squad to monitor and oversee the compliance of SOP throughout the duration of the event. The ministry also stressed that any participant or event personnel for team sports and combat sports are required to undergo an RTK antigen swab test 3 days before the event begins. In addition, the ministry said that quarantine-based accommodation for event participants would be implemented for sporting events in CMCO areas. The number of supporters allowed to such events is limited to 10% of the venue's seating capacity, or 4,000 people, and subject to changes announced by the government. Regarding foreign nationals' participation, entry and exit approval for foreigners to participate in any sporting event in Malaysia would require confirmation or support from the ministry, in addition to approval from the Malaysian Immigration Department or the International Trade and Industry Ministry's one-stop centre. That concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, Malaysia to study viability of domestic high-speed rail project. Before we go, we would like to wish all Malaysians a very happy and prosperous new year. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Cynthia Arthur. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.